So I want to say a little something about the Torah portion. We are in the book of Exodus, and we are reading Mishpatim. Mishpatim can be translated as rules. It's the first major word, and that's where we get the name of the Torah portion, Mishpatim. But the very beginning, the very first line says, Ve'ele Mishpatim asher tasim lifnehem. And these are the laws that you shall set before them. So here's the funny thing. It starts off in the Hebrew with the word ve'ele. And ele is these, but it starts off with a vav, and the vav means and. Now, when I was growing up, it was very clear for my parents I shouldn't start sentences with the word and. They just said, some of you are clearly English teachers, and you're nodding, and this has been an annoyance to you. Well, I'm sorry. I still do it, but it's okay because in the Torah, they did it too. Now, a lot of translations are going to say these are the laws, but if you're going to really translate it literally, that vav means and that that always gives us an opportunity to come up with something to teach. Why does it start with and? Can it be more than just stylistic? There has to be a purpose. In fact, we hear that over and over and over again. There's no letter, there's no word that's superfluous in the Torah. Everything has a purpose. So what could be the purpose of the word and that starts off the Torah portion? Again, it says, Ve'ele mishpatim, and these are the laws that you will set, God talking to Moses, that you will set before them. Them, of course, are all of those ancient Israelites. So what's going on? Well, the rest of this Torah portion is going to be about a whole bunch of different rules and laws and ordinances. Fine. Right before this, last week's Torah portion, there was something else in this that was about laws, but it was about the laws that we know of as the Ten Commandments. So God calls out to Moses on Mount Sinai and gives these top 10 and brings it to all of the people. And so for some people, we think that that's all that happened on Mount Sinai. The vav, the and, means that everything that's coming in this week's Torah portion was also given there. Now some of you are like, come on, really? All of that were on those tablets? Well, that's why Mel Brooks dropped them. We saw that, right? Younger people have no idea what I'm talking about. That's okay. You'll Google it later, after Shabbos. So you have these massive tablets that maybe have the entire Torah on it. It doesn't really matter. We can think that it's only the top 10 that God gave to Moses, or it was the entire Torah. You pick. I buy into both theories. The important part is the vav, that v sound. That's it. V. And. Because they're making a connection. They're making a bridge. All of this that happened at Sinai that God gave to Moses and brought it down, it's not just the 10. There's so much more that comes after. And I think we live in the world where everything is about now. It's very much an Amazon world. It's just about now. You order something, it comes by drone within 30 minutes. Well, there's some great things about that, and there's some things that we're not really balancing so well. If we don't think about where we came from, which isn't for us history, it's memory. There's a difference. If we think about where we came from and what happened at Sinai and through the sea and after the journey all through Egypt, all of that stuff, memory, and then we add our vav, our and, our connection, our bridge, and then we see what happens when they get to a promised land. What happens next? Well, apparently a lot of them moved to Boulder. In Boulder County, Colorado, there's all of us who are trying to figure out how to do Jewish and make it work. Not to make it last. It'll last. But how to make it work. That's where that vav is important again. We have something that came before, and we have a place where we want to go. It's more than laws. It's more than rules. I think the vav is really important for us. And our synagogue, and I would say to you, the entire Jewish community in America, this is a vav moment. This is a connector bridge kind of moment. There's a rabbi friend that wrote this blog post about synagogues. Are we going to be Blockbuster or Netflix? It wasn't such a great blog article, but it was a great title. And that title helps us to figure out we have always been moving. Judaism has never, ever, ever been static. It's always been dynamic. It's always been adjusting and changing and growing and shaping, and then shaping the people that are moved by it. So what about now? I'm going to say to you that I don't think we can do synagogue or do Jewish the same way. I don't think we can. It is a Netflix and Amazon world, but that's not why. It's not to keep up. It's because we want to be moved. We have yearnings of our own. We need to be given a safe space where those yearnings and dreams and possibilities can have fuel and fire and passion in life. Or we've run out of our dreams and we need to be supported and comforted and accompanied. And for me, synagogue and Jewish community are supposed to be living in all of those worlds. So how do we take our Vav moment, keep an authentic relationship to Judaism, whatever that means, to Torah, to God, to Israel, to love, to joy, to our values, to aspects of fixing a broken world? How do we manage all of that at this Vav moment? There's a couple of things that stick out to me. You know, there's a lot of people in the Jewish community are talking about this survey that came out, this study that came out for the greater Denver area. They think Boulder is part of greater Denver, but that's okay. I'm here long enough to realize that that's not true, but in the study, it includes Boulder County, and there's some really interesting things in it. And I want to reflect back about where we began. In 1965, there was a bunch of folks that are moving from Chicago and New York and different coasts. They come to Boulder for different reasons, and they want to create something for their families. They want to teach their kids something about being Jewish, and they want to connect to one another. So they create this community, the Boulder Jewish Fellowship. Eventually, that Boulder Jewish Fellowship becomes Congregation Har Hashem. Foundation stones for us. That's the rock that we stand on. Those 35 or so families coming together, building a building and dedicating it just before the Six-Day War in 1967. American Judaism looked so different then. Everybody connected, everybody affiliated, because we still had that immigrant mentality. Affiliation is empty to me as a rabbi. Affiliation, what does that mean? Signing a check, joining, empty. Can we do better than affiliate? When we were new immigrants, it made sense. When we were all coming to Boulder, of course we wanted to do that. But our needs have also changed, and they've also remained the same. We all want to be inspired and moved. Many of us have kids that need to learn how to do Jewish, and then help them help us. All of that is still true. But today, that community study that I was talking about, 16% of households include someone who's a member of a synagogue in the greater Denver area. 16%. The national average is in the 30s, 38%. In Boulder County, it's 12%. So then we can all say, oh my God, what's going to happen to the Jewish community? That's not what I'm saying. It's not. Because if we keep looking at this study, and if we think about where the Boulder Jewish Fellowship came from, how they wanted to make a difference in this little community, how they wanted to support their families, they would think about more. And they recognized that 70% then and now in the greater Denver area feel strongly about being Jewish. So if 75% of folks who identify as Jewish feel strongly about being Jewish, but 12% are connecting, synagogues in the past would say that's your fault. And I think that was wrong. I think that people will come not because we build it, but because there's value. Because there are values and ideals and ideas, and we can be challenged and moved. So let's think less about affiliation and more about inspiration. Can we inspire America's Jews again, that want to take a peek, that want to go on a journey, that feel when we are so successful in so many ways, but feel inhibited about this Jewish thing, because I don't know Hebrew, I don't remember Sunday school, because that was, 40 years ago. The last time I had a real conversation with a rabbi was never. Can we shed some of those inhibitions, be a little bit vulnerable, and say, there could be something here for me? Well, that could be true if we also provide it. If the rabbis are going to be responsive, if the clergy is going to meet you where you are, not where we think you ought to be. And I think that's how American Judaism has functioned. Rabbis on very, very high beamers, because that's where they felt they belonged. Have you noticed our congregation? Not on the bima at all. I don't want to be so separate from you. This is our journey together. That's what we're trying to do. And it's taking a while, but that's what we're trying to do. Have our memory, stand on the foundation, and do it a little bit differently, because your needs are also a little bit different than my grandparents, than my parents. You know how I knew I belonged in the Jewish community? Was because my house had Jewish art and Jewish books and Jewish music, and because when my father died, folks carried me, literally. That's what I want to create. I was 15 years old, for some of us who don't know me. My father dies, and I literally had people carrying me so I could say Kaddish when I was at camp, summer camp. That's what I'm trying to do with you, little by little, not all at once, no pressure. So that handout that you received, we have folks that have been working on this Vav moment in Judaism, and we created this vision statement. Now, we've been sharing it with our synagogue for a long time now. It's been about a year, and it came out partially because I said, I think we need to update some of our art here. Let's come up with a logo. And they were like, no, that's not how this works, Rabbi. Stick to the Torah. And what I learned is branding tells a story. It tells where we want to go and who we want to be, not just from the synagogue to congregants, but also to outside, to our guests, and to our staff. Who do we want to be? So this vision statement kind of gives us a little sense of what that's about. Now, if you turn the page, here's the big unveiling. This is the logo that we're introducing that has taken us about 3 years to figure out where we want to go. Why do we choose this? Well, Har is a mountain. Hashem is a term for God. Har Hashem is, of course, God's mountain, not Sinai, but the Flatirons. That's really where Torah came. And in the midst of this idea of Har, we have mountain themes a lot. They're on our Torah covers. We have sculpture to recognize our supporters and donors in the social hall. And it was on our previous logo that was in the stars, where's the Jewish star. We saw the Flatirons. So we recognize that everybody likes mountains around here, but that's not why this is our name. If you look even on this little handout here, you see the picture of the curtains in our ark. And it's a tree of life. But the Hebrew says, Esa Einai El Heharim. I lift my eyes up unto the mountains. Our founders recognized the power of that psalm, bringing my eyes up to the mountains, because we all need that inspiration. And we want to have a sense of a presence. That same psalm is in the lobby. We have stained glass that's over here and over here. It's not so visible because it's dark outside. I think we should get some lights. But outside in the lobby, Esa Einai El Harim. This place is to try and help us lift our eyes to the mountains for inspiration, not just a good view. So we have mountains there. And they're different colors because so are we. We're coming from different backgrounds. We have different needs. We have a different Jewish story. Maybe I didn't grow up Jewish at all. How do I find myself in this space? The other thing is, This sanctuary, the add-on, the original sanctuary, of course, was shaped like a mountain. That is now our social hall. Similar to that ark, that was the shape of the social hall, the original part. This part here is like a big tent. Well, some can look at the mountains and see a tent. Those look like tents too. And we want to be an open tent, a place where we can be a little vulnerable, share our truths and our stories, learn something new, try and figure out how we can be a better person. So whether you see a tent, or you see the Flatirons, or you see some other mountains, or God's mountain, or some fire or flame, one of the best things about being Jewish is that we don't have to agree. See whatever you want. Just know that as we enter this space, we want to create a place that's welcoming. That's what we're working toward. Har Hashem is in bold. That's always been who we are. And then, of course, just a little less than a year ago, we celebrated the dedication of our campus in honor of one of our founding families. That's the bottom line on the Margolis family campus. That's sort of like our underline. Our founders, including them, that's the foundation. And so this logo for me is like our Vav. It's the and. So is the vision statement on the other side. It's the and. So where do you want to go? What does Judaism mean to you? What can it mean to you? What possibilities can we experience? I want to say that there have been thousands of people that have been shaped by this place. Long before me, long after me. Thousands of people that have been shaped by rabbis and clergy and teachers and educators and volunteers and presidents and you name it. What an amazing thing to have such a big tent with all of those stories and all of those truths. So I hope, my prayer is we get to redefine and reinterpret and reclaim Judaism on our terms. Challenge it, share it, and counter it. We want to be the Vav and the bridge to forge a Jewish future in Boulder County for another 50 plus years, for anybody who's looking for meaning. We want a synagogue community to be your partner as you need us. And we hope that you'll support us for sure, but not to keep the lights on, but because we all want to make Judaism something vibrant and compelling and comforting for all of us and those who come after. So may this be a place of warmth, sincerity, gentle nudging from clergy, compassion, and mercy. And may our presence be a light to others. And may God's light envelop us all.